Hello everyone and welcome to Thermal Control Magazine's interactive session on a performance review of India Cooling Action Plan. Cooling requirements are an essential part of economic growth. It is required across different economic sectors such as residential and commercial buildings, cold chain, refrigeration, transport and industries. India is the first country to develop a cooling action plan based on energy efficiency and thermal comfort. The India Cooling Action Plan is a long-term integrated vision towards cooling across sectors encompassing reduction of cooling demand, refrigeration, transition, enhancement energy efficiency, and better technology options by 2037-38 through synergies with the government. ICAP lists out action which may help reduce the cooling demand. The goals seek a reduction of cooling demand across sector by 20 to 25% by 2037-38, refrigerant demand by 20 to 30% by 2037-38, and cooling energy requirements by 20 to 40% by 2037 and 38. ICAP also seeks to train and certify 1 lakh service technicians by 2022 and 23, synergizing with Skill India mission. These actions will have a significant climate benefits. Cooling is also linked to human health and productivity. The cross-sectoral nature of cooling and its use in the development of economy is the developmental necessity. ICAP has placed India on the international radar and garnered significant interest in supporting global momentum for creating national cooling action plans. On this note, Thermal Control Business Update has hosted a roundtable conference on a performance review of India Cooling Action Plan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege for me to introduce you to today's distinguished speaker, Mr. Pankaj Mehta, Managing Director, Carrier Transicold India and South Asia, Ms. Pushpalata Shetty, DGM Sales, Crystal Logistic Cool Chain Limited, Mr. Vishnu Sashidharan, Vice President, Climate Technologies plus Advanced Technologies, and Mr. R. Anis Simha, Senior General Manager and Head, Trinac India Limited.
So first question is from Mr. Pankaj. You are mentioning about energy efficiency and refrigerants and food waste control relevant to ESG. So what green and environmental factors need to integrate to support ICAP, India Cooling Action Plan?
So I think there are two aspects to this. One is, like India Cooling Action Plan rightfully says, growth is inevitable. It's a need of the hour. Our cold chain requirements, our cooling requirements will grow. We are a growing country. But we have to also take care that it is growth with sustainability, keeping our end, green targets in mind. So I think there are two aspects to this. One is, as I said, when we talk about cold storages or cold chain, specifically for the agricultural aspect, it has to help reduce food waste. But in a way, as I said, in our pilot, we were very conscious of the net carbon footprint. Are we adding more carbon footprint or are we net beneficial? So as long as you're net positive, I think we are on the right track. So and there are several ways, as we've seen from all the speakers. I mean, there's no one good solution. There are various options available. So there are, as I spoke about, reducing the carbon footprint in the systems, regarding energy efficiency, refrigerant. And my other colleagues on the panel have also showcased some other technologies. So I think all these are great. We will continue to grow the cold chain, but with a lot of responsibility and sustainability in mind. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. Responsibility lies on our shoulders. So, of course, environment and health are also pursuing factor under ICAP to reduce cooling. Mr. Anish, you mentioned valuable information about cold storages. So, I need to ask is, cold storage role is immense in the entire cold chain. What better technologies must be considered for smart cooling in line with ICAP?
I have read an article or an information I got from our NCCD, wherein some places they mention that the cold storage as such, the quantity or the area of cold storage in our country is almost reaching saturation. I'm not saying it is saturated. There are, of course, different types of new types of technologies can replace an existing cold storage, so that the total quantity can be the same and the cold storage gets replaced. So that industry is already there. But the moment the need of the hour as per NCCD was the pre-cooling technology and the reefer technology, the transportation. Once the produce, we're just concentrating on horticulture, where that's where the farmers we've been discussing. So in such cases, we should follow the systematically the procedure, what is being what the guidelines, that is the fruits should not be exposed to a non-controlled temperature once it is pre-cooled, and once it's picked from the farm within 6 hours it has to be pre-cooled. So these are the two conditions. We follow them. We have cold storages, as per the report says we have enough cold storages, but we should build up the reefer container. So then people should also follow, in the sense they should not do shortcuttings while transporting the material. They say, I'm transporting in the night, what will happen, etc., etc. You're also exposing them to various other conditions, not only temperature, even humidity goes. So you're not controlling the humidity. Whereas if you see for medicines and other exports of these kinds of products, they have monitoring. They keep reading the conditions which is being monitored right from the time it leaves the cold storage to the time it reaches. So they are also, you cannot tamper, they are all tamper proof. So in where we do have, we are following this system, but again there somebody is dictating us, and then we do follow them. Whereas when if it's our own country, where if it's our own produce, we should again try and implement this similar to what we are doing in the other industries. So that is what I feel. Then you were going to say. Then of course emphasis on the using of better refrigerants. I'm not saying use only natural refrigerant. You use any refrigerant where global warming potentials are lower, and then we should have a system wherein now we have lot of refrigeration systems with these refrigerants which have high global warming potential. So we'll have, when we find a somewhat similar refrigerant with a lower cost wise, with a lower global warming potential, then we cannot leave all this refrigerant directly into the atmosphere to replace them. So we should have use the refrigerant recovery kits and then only start changing them. That will come, but then we should be equipped and trained to use the refrigerant, and that attitude should be there. So then we will be able to meet the ICAP guidelines even faster. And since cold store is not that you finish and that's the end of it, but it's a continuous process. So it will go even beyond 2037, 38, it's there since quite long time before also. But then we have to have these basic minimum guidelines, and we have to follow them. In such cases, we will save both the produce as well energy.
Thank you for that, Mr. Anish. There's a good learning to know more about the cooling and about the capacity of cold storage that is coming to saturation. It's a point to be noted. Coming to Ms. Pushpalata, you mentioned about product portable cold chain, maintaining temperatures. What other new opportunities and solutions are available?
In case if we talk about the solution in the container, the first thing is, as I've told you, the options. We cannot shorten our thinking only by mentioning this, it's a refrigerated container. But in this, as I've told you, we have done a lot of innovation, which is normally a replica of the existing cold room facility, wherein you have an option of build, say, for example, if a cold room takes years to get constructed, this solution is easily can be installed. Everything comes as a ready-made solution. Apart from that, in this, based on that, I have missed discussing on a blasting, that is a PCM pads, where you need to get the blasting done, because our 10-feeder can blast almost 1,000 to 1,500 pads with the blasting, because blasting the PCM pads requires different temperature, like some pads requires minus 18 plus 18, but our blast freezer has the capacity to blast almost more than 1,000 1000 PCM parts at one go. Apart from that, we have an option of the ultra freezers, wherein you're looking out for a solution. Instead of building a cold room, you can use a solution wherein you can maintain a temperature of -70, -60 based on your requirement. When there was a requirement where vaccine needs to be stored in this temperature, this is an option which can be installed immediately. And the cold room, which I have already explained you, where you're looking for an area which is more than 1000 square feet. Building up this cold room will take much more time, whereas having this facility will ease your installation and the time process, and it can be done quickly. Blast freezer may also have a bigger capacity, wherein if you're looking for an option of having a standby, that is, normal reefer container works with one refrigeration machine, whereas we have a reefer box where you have a multiple, that is, you have a dual compressor in case if there is a failure, and the cargo being very sensitive and expensive, you cannot afford to lose it. So you can have a dual compressor, wherein in case if one compressor goes off, there is a standby facility available. So these are all the options available in case if you look for a portable cold chain solution from us.
Thanks, Ms. Pashpulapal. Good initiatives are future indeed. So it carries value information for future features and direction to the cold chain. There was a question in the Q&A box. How are we training our manpower in the cold chain sector to enable the targets that we have set up to attain ICAP and net zero cooling?
I think our cold chain experts who are already working in a cold room would be much more, they can explain this question well, because in our cold chain, there is no specific installation or the training required to operate. Even a layman can operate this. So there is no specific installation or specific team required to get this product installed.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Pankaj?
If I can come in on this question.
Sure.
So I think skill development is going to be a very essential part of a sustainable cold chain that we are trying to build here. So there are several initiatives that are happening, both with the National Center of Cold Chain Developments, with the OEMs, with all equipment manufacturers. There are universities which have taken up cold chain as a course that the engineers can get into, and these can be at various levels of the engineers, the operators, the maintenance guys, even something like drivers, of reefer trucks. They need to be trained. So at Carrier, we ourselves undertake many training sessions for different category of stakeholders. So I think skill development would definitely be a very important part of the India Cooling Action Plan, and towards building a healthy, safe, sustainable, and an intelligent cold chain.
Good. That's quite a good information you shared. Mr. Vishnu, would you like to add to it?
I was just reading one of the articles by World Economic Forum. Would like to just quote some of the statistics here.
Right.
So so almost 40% of the world population is in the hot tropics. It says that about 2.8 billion population is in the hottest part of the world, and India's population is 1.4 billion. We're 50% of that. So we have a big battle in our hands, and as per the same report, it says only 8% of these countries have access to air conditioners. So when this increases to 99%, 100%, like the developed countries, how fast are we equipped in terms of our efficiencies? Are the increase of 5%, 10% increase in efficiencies going to catch up to the demand? Because India Cooling Action Plan has some ambitious goals of reducing the demand, reducing the requirement. So as consumers, we are only utilizing more and more. And the core fundamental definition of sustainability is meeting the need of the present by not compromising on future generations' ability to use these, right? So I think each of us are doing our bit. But I happen to be part of the ISHRE group, which is Indian Society of Heating Refrigeration Engineers. And very candidly, what many of them acknowledged and confessed was, while we all, there are many associations coming in, but what really we need to do to achieve this goals, so if that can be broken down into in a simplified manner to disseminate to the industry members. Like we have National Center for Cold Chain Development for cold chain, we have Indian Society of Refrigeration Engineers for HVAC, and these are very closely knit industry. I think if there is some sort of a metric, breaking down those 20 goals into 5 things for product solution manufacturers or contractors, short-term goal and long-term goal. Because if you just look at the finishing line, you may not know where you are headed. So because it is all talking about 2038, 2040 and an Arbit percentage. How is that percentage come in, or why that percentage? Why can't we achieve even better? That is what, these are questions which I don't have answer to, but I thought I'll just put that forward.
Thanks, Mr. Vishnu, for advancing such thinking. And definitely there has to be a plan. Now we are heading towards the close. So I would like Mr. Pankaj Mehta to give a closing statement, please.
Well, I think it's been a great session. Very important aspects of various technologies were shared by all the panelists, and a lot of diverse options, diverse perspectives. So I think we are all headed towards the same goal. Each one in its own way is very consciously heading towards building a healthy, safe and sustainable cold chain for India. And I thank again the Thermal Control business team for organizing such an excellent program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all. I would like Harsha to close this session, please.
Thank you, panelists, for exchanging your valuable thoughts on today's topic, a performance review of India Cooling Action Plan. Hope you enjoyed this session thoroughly. Before wrapping up today's session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Pankaj Mehta, Ms. Pushpalata Shetty, Mr. Vishnu Sashidharan, and Mr. R. Anish Simha. I would also like to thank Mr. Gopal Anand for taking this initiative. We want our delegates and viewers to stay connected with us on our social media handles. Thermal Control Magazine is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also download our app from Google Play and App Store. With this, we want to announce the closing of today's session. Request you to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.